Good morning all. Welcome to Conduct Learning, How to Learning with Study. So we are at a chapter Metals and Non-Metals, and this is the third chapter for class 10 science. And previously we have done how metals are reacting with acids. Now we switch toward the metal reaction with the other metal solutions. So here we are with the activity in which we will react the metal with the solution of other metal salt, and we will do our arrangement as per the diagram. In this diagram we took a cardboard and two test tubes. In one test tube we will took iron, and in second test tube we will take copper wire. It is also written there, take a clean wire of copper and an iron nail. So iron nail is there in this first tube and the copper wire is there in the second tube. So we have two tubes. Put the copper wire in the solution of iron sulfate. Now we will put this copper wire in the solution of iron sulfate and the iron nail in the solution of copper sulfate. And on the other side we took copper sulfate solution and we put the iron nail in it. That means to say the copper sulfate is what? CuSO4, and the iron sulfate is what? FeSO4. Record your observation after 20 minutes. In which test tube did you find the reaction has occurred? On what basis can you say that the reaction is actually taken place? Can you correlate your observation with the activity, previous activity? Write down the balanced chemical equation for this. So here we will understand that the less reactive metal is displaced by the highly reactive metal. This will be the result of this activity. How? Metal react with a solution of other metal salt, in which put a iron nail in the solution of copper sulfate. So when we put iron in the solution of copper sulfate, CuSO4, we will see the copper is getting displaced from sulfate solution, copper sulfate solution, and iron is attached with the sulfate solution and become iron sulfate. So that means to say copper is getting displaced. So this is kind of displacement reaction. And how we will see the displacement reaction is occur? We just see the physical change in the needle. The iron nail will be get coated with a red brownish color copper. The physical change we will be observed, and we will understand the chemical reaction to take place. That means to say the iron metal, the iron nail will be coated with a brown color of copper, and blue color of copper sulfate is fade out. The color of copper sulfate will be getting faded and the iron will be getting brown in color. So that means to say iron is having now color of brown color, that is a brown color, and the copper sulfate solution is faded out. That means to say the chemical reaction is take place. So the physical change will make us understand the chemical reaction is happened, and the chemical reaction will be given in this chemical equation, in which metal is reacting with a salt solution of other metal, and it form a salt solution and a metal B. The metal B is a copper and the salt solution is a ferric iron sulfate. So copper is highly reactive than the iron. In this reaction, more active iron has displaced copper. Sorry, the iron is more active than copper because iron displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution. So iron is more active than copper. So that's why it displaces it and itself attached with the sulfate solution and forms iron sulfate. So in this reaction, the iron is very much reactive and the copper is less reactive. So that's why iron sulfate is formed, and iron is getting brown in color and copper sulfate solution is getting faded. This reaction is a displacement reaction, as I told you. It is a single displacement reaction but no double displacement, because a single displacement is occur. In this reaction, iron displaces copper, so the copper is only getting displaced from copper sulfate solution. So that's why it's a single displacement reaction. This reaction is displacement reaction. The brown coating of the iron nail show that copper is deposited on the iron nail by displacing iron. So the color of iron nail is getting changed to brown as we discussed, and it is showing that iron nail is it deposited on the iron nail by displacing iron. वो iron को, the iron is getting displaced, so that's why it is coated with the brown color. The greenish color of the solution in the test tube show Fe2 plus iron are present in the solution. The color of blue is getting changed to the faded color or a green color. That means to say the iron plus ions are present in that, because iron is getting displaced. They show that the iron is more active than copper, right? Because Fe2 displays the Cu2 ions from copper sulfate solution. There is single displacement reaction which copper has displaced from iron from copper sulfation. A more reactive metal can displace a less reactive metal. It is a result of this reaction. The same thing you can see in this diagram also. The iron is displacing the copper from copper sulfate solution, and the copper sulfate solution is getting faded out. So iron is more reactive than copper. This is what we understand from this. So here the answer of these three questions are given or proved. In which test tube did you find the reaction has occurred? In this tube, in first tube, the reaction has taken place. Because iron is now getting brown, and after that the color of this copper sulfate is getting faded out. There is no reaction take place in the second test tube, right? And the balanced chemical equation for the same is written there. This is the balanced chemical equation for this. So this is how the reaction take place. So I summarize this activity. In this activity, we took one test tube and another test tube. In these two test tubes, in first test tube we took iron nail and copper sulfate solution, and in second test tube we took a copper wire and a iron sulfate solution. And we see after 20 minutes the reaction is only take place between the first test tube, in which iron nail and copper sulfate solution is there. In this particular tube, iron displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution because it is highly reactive than copper. So it displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution and itself become a iron sulfate. And the color of this copper sulfate solution is getting faded out, and the iron is get deposited with a layer which is a brown in color. That means to say iron deposited with the copper. So take the reaction is taken place in between the iron and copper sulfate solution, and the equation for this is also written there, in which iron displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution and itself become a iron sulfate, right? This is a single displacement reaction in which iron displaces copper only, right? So copper is less reactive than iron. This is a conclusion from this activity. Another example of same type of reaction is for magnesium and copper sulfate solution, zinc and copper sulfate solution, and iron is copper sulfate solution. Iron and copper sulfate solution reaction we already have done. Zinc and magnesium is very new, in which magnesium when react with the copper sulfate solution, it forms magnesium sulfate and copper. That means to say magnesium is highly reactive than copper. Another example is zinc and copper sulfate solution, in which zinc displaces the copper from copper sulfate solution and form a zinc sulfate, and copper a single compound. That means to say zinc is more reactive than copper. So the order of reactivity of different metal is given there in this list, in which we see that potassium is very much reactive and sodium is less than this, and sodium and potassium both are highly reactive metal, as we already know, because when they put in open environment they catch fire. Calcium is less than reactive with sodium, magnesium is less than with calcium, aluminium next to it. This we also checked with the HCl solution or acid solution. Then magnesium come first, aluminium come after that, zinc come after that, aluminium, and iron come after that, zinc. So magnesium is highly reactive than aluminium, zinc, and iron. Aluminium is highly reactive than zinc and iron. Zinc is highly reactive than iron. And we can see the copper is come in the least reactivity series, and gold is the one metal which is very much less reactive. It is only reactive with the solution of nitric acid and nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. That's aqueous. So this is a reactivity of the different metal. Zinc, aluminium, iron, this is coming in the middle reactivity series. The high reactive is potassium. So reaction of metal with not metal is a next step, in which we will see the bonding is formed. The bonding between metals and non-metals is getting formed. So we have to be first of all understand what is that, what is the type of this bonding, how this bonding is formed, and how the reaction take place. Let us look at the electronic configuration of some metals and non-metals. For understanding the reaction of metal with non-metal, we have to be look into the electronic configuration. That means to say the number of the electrons present in the different shell of a metal, right? The atomic number of that metal, atomic mass of that metal. It is very much required to understand this topic. The electronic configuration will help us to understand the reactivity of different element and formation of different compound. Because when the metals are reacting with non-metal, they form a different compound because it form a bond. It form a bond. That's why ionic bond I can specify here. It form a ionic bond, so that's why it form a different compound. So that to understand that composition of this different compound, we have to understand the electronic configuration of metals and non-metals. We have learned that noble gas have completely filled valence shell, as they are chemically inactive. Some gases are there which is known as noble gases. That's why it's known as noble gases, because they are inactive in nature. That the meaning of inactive is that they do not have any electrons in their shell to get share with the other metals. So that's why they are coming in the category of noble gas, because they are inactive, they do not have anything to share. Here we can take it like, because we are not coming with the shells, free electron, valence shell, and etc etc. So that's why we conclude this third statement with that the noble gases are those which do not have anything to share, to to make a bond. So that's why they are inactive in nature. We can simply conclude this: they do not have anything to share, so that's why they are coming in the category of inactive elements. So here, electron configuration of metals and non-metals is given. So for example, in this table, the type of element is given there, which is metal or non-metal. The type can be metal or non-metal. The element can be metal, non-metal, or metalloid. Here we took two elements, which is either metal or either non-metal. Second is the name of the element. Third is its atomic number, which is according to the periodic table. And fourth one is the electronic configuration. That means to say it is having the four shells K, L, M, and N. The name of the shell is K, first shell is K, second shell is L, third shell is M, and fourth shell is N. And this 281, this is the number of electrons in that particular shell. So first, if we will take the example of sodium. Sodium having atomic number 11 as per the periodic table. And in its first shell it is having 2 electrons, in second cell 8 electrons, and in third cell 1, and the fourth cell 0. What is the meaning of this? If we count these three, the sum of these three shells, it will be equivalent to 11. That means to say it is having only 11 electrons in their shells, in which they have to be one, it have one to share. To make it very easy, first of all, I will take a marker to make you understand. Atomic number of sodium Na. So it is having the atomic number 11 and having shells like K shell, after that L shell, after that M shell, and after that N shell. So it is like that. In first cell, only 2 electron can be there. In for any metal or non-metal, it can have total 2 electrons in first shell. Next electron, it can have 8 shell. Next to it, it can have 8 in this second shell. That means to say L can have up to 8 electrons, and in first shell it can have only 2 electrons. In the same way, in M shell it can have 18 electrons. And how to find out which cell can have what value of electron? We have to follow a formula. And the formula to find out how much electron will be there in a particular cell is 2n square, in which n is representing the shell number. It is a shell number. So it will be tell us ki how much cell and the maximum, sorry, how much electron, yeah, maximum electron which can be in a particular cell. For example, in first shell, for any metal or any non-metal, number of maximum number of electron can be only 2, because according to this formula, this is a shell number where I place a 1, so 1 square is a 1 and multiply with 2 is 2, so 2 electron can be there in a first shell. When the number of shell is increased, the number of cell is increased to 2 in the second shell, like L cell, it will become 2 into 4. That means to say 8 maximum electron can be there in L shell. In third cell, 2, 3 square. As per this figure, it can have maximum 18 electron in M shell and so on. So in this way, the maximum electron for first cell K is 2, for second cell L is 8 and third cell M is 18. According to that, the sodium atomic number is 11. So its 2 electrons are covered in first cell, 8 electrons are covered in L shell, and the only 1 electron is left which is there in the third cell. So to be get stable, it required 7 more electrons. So either it should have required 7 electrons in their last cell. So to be get stable, or to be get the position of stability, or as like non-noble gases are inactive, it will become inactive when it will be having 7 more electrons, which is not possible without sharing pairing. To get stable, so that's why the sodium is required 7 more electrons, or either it can give its 1 electron to the another element and become stable. If it give its 1 electron to the another element to be get stable, it will be have a positive charge on it. Sodium will become Na positive. That means it will be have positive charge. On the other hand, it will be take 7 electrons to be get stable, it will be have a negative charge. So in this way, it can have a positive charge also, it can have negative charge. But usually the sodium have the positive charge. Why? Because it is very easy to give a 1 electron rather than to take a 7 electron to be get stable. So that's why sodium is usually a positive charge. In the same way, the electron configuration of another metals and non-metals are also given. For magnesium it is 282, for aluminum is 283, potassium 2881 and calcium 2882. So in this way the electron configuration is given. Reaction of metal with non-metal. Sodium, a metal, is a silver colored metal that reacts so violently with water, and that flame are produced due to the formation of hydrogen gas, because it's very highly reactive metal, as we discussed before. Chlorine, a non-metal, is a greenish colored gas which is poisonous. That was used as a weapon in World War I. The chlorine is a poisonous gas, and it is very much reactive with the sodium, and it is making a bond between them, sodium chloride, that is a salt. Which chemical bond, when chemical bond occur in between them, these two dangerous substances form a compound, sodium chloride, that is a safe and is very safe to eat also, that is a common salt. So if we took sodium Na and another is a chlorine, so if you see the atomic number for sodium is nothing but is a 11, and what about chlorine? It is 19. You can also check it this from the previous slide. Chlorine is having 17, not 19, but sodium is having 11. So chlorine is having 17 atomic number. So first of all, we will write down their electron configuration. So for sodium, K, L and M shells are there, which is filled with 2, 8 and 1 electron. For chlorine, it is having K, L and M, and they are filled with 2, 8 and 7 electrons. We can simply see that The sodium can give its one electron and become a positive charge element, and chlorine can take a one electron from sodium and become a negative charge element. So when the chemical reaction or the bonding will occur in between them, they form a solution which is sodium chloride Na positive Cl negative. So this will be the solution for this. And how this will be happen, we can simply see by looking this diagram. Here sodium, this is the first shell K, which can have 2 electron maximum. The second is L, which can have 8 electron maximum, and third is the M, which can have also 18 or 8 electron maximum to be get stable, but it's having one only in the M shell, which either it can be share or either it can be take 7 electron to be get stable. Sodium will require to be stable. On the another side, chlorine having 2 electron in the K shell, in L shell 8 electron, and 7 cell in the M electron. So it can take 1 from sodium to be get stable, and it will sodium will itself will become a stable because it lose its 1 electron. When sodium will lose its 1 electron, it will become positive charge, and when chlorine will take its 1 electron from sodium, it will become negative charge. So the output is NaCl, which is sodium chloride. This is the ionic bonding that is happened between the metals and non-metal, because chlorine is a non-metal and sodium is a metal. So it's combination. NaCl is a combination of metal and non-metal. Sodium 281 atom has 1 electron in outermost shell. If it lose its outermost shell electron, it will become stable. And octet. Octet mean to say 8. To be get stable, the shell required 8 electron at least. That is called octet. The nucleus of this atom still have 11 proton, but number of electron is 10. So there is a net positive charge given on the sodium and positive. And on the other side, chlorine has configuration 287, 7 electron in outermost shell. To complete its octet, it required 1 electron only. So it will be take 1 electron from sodium. So chlorine will become negative charge or anion. Cation is for positive charge. Sodium is cation because it's having positive charge on it because of losing 1 electron. Chlorine is anion because of its negative charge and gaining 1 electron from sodium. So this is how the chemical reaction or the bonding, ionic bonding we can say, take place between metals and non-metals. This is called ionic or covalent. Property of ionic compound. This is very much important point. Ionic compounds are solid and hard because of positive and negative attraction between them. Because one of the element will be positive, another element is negative. That's why it's having strong force of attraction between them, and they become solid or hard. They generally brittle and break into pieces when pressure is applied. Ionic compound have a high melting and boiling point. Why? Because of high attraction of force. High energy is required to break that bond between the different elements that is positive or negative either. They are generally soluble in water and insoluble in solvents such as kerosene, petrol, etc. They can easily soluble in water but insoluble in kerosene, oil and petrol, etc. These are the properties of these bonds. Another most important point about ionic compound is that they are not conduct electricity when they are in solid state, because in solid state they do not produce ions, and if they do not produce ions, because of the absence of the ions, the electricity will not conduct, because electricity required ion to be present for its conduction. So ionic compound should have to be in liquid state. So to conduct electricity through ionic compound, the ionic compound should be in molten state so that it can produce the ion when it will be in molten state and can conduct electricity. So this is one of the important property for ionic compound. It's also written there, ionic compound in solid state do not conduct electricity because the movement of ion in the solid state is not possible. Because of the rigid structure, the ions do not produce in solid state. It should be in molten state to produce the ion and to conduct the electricity. The conduction of electricity through a solution involves the movement of charged particle. A solution of ionic compound in water contain ion which move to the opposite electrode and electricity passes.